3, 4.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the June 2nd regular meeting of the Board of Estimate and Taxation. Madam Clerk, may I get you to call a roll, please?
Mayor Rilling,
Here.
Mr. Abrams,
Here.
Mr. Camacho,
Present.
Mr. Constant,
Here.
Mr. Gilleret,
Here.
Mr. Casimis, Miss Yang. We have 5 in attendance. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Before we get to moving the minutes for discussion, first let the record show that Artie Casimis just joined the meeting, so we have another member present. And then second, Mr. Mayor, I would like to turn it over to you for any opening remarks this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams. As you all well know, and as I know, we have received a lot of emails and letters and comments from the public, and we're glad that the public is participating. We are hearing what you're saying. I know one of the major concerns that I'm getting is that the music program in the lower levels of the schools were in jeopardy of being cut. I want to reassure everybody that Dr. Estrella's team, her finance team, and my finance team, Mr. Ellis is here as well, have been meeting on a regular basis, and we're doing everything we can to keep that program in place. And I'm relatively confident that we're going to have a good result. So I know that this is a major issue for people. It's a major issue for us. We recognize the value of the visual and performing arts in our schools. And we want to make sure that we give our students the best experience that we can give them. And that certainly is with the performing arts. I was at the Norwalk High School awards banquet today, just a little while ago. And I told them, I congratulated them on a successful season. And I know for a fact that many of them were in the music programs from probably elementary school, middle school, and up, and as they progressed and increased their skills. If you recall, last year in the capital budget, or this current capital budget, we gave $150,000 for band instruments. We've got another 150,000 for band instruments. So we're doing everything we can to further these programs. And I am very confident that we're going to be successful. So I just want to thank the public for all their comments. We hear you. We know how important this is. And I know every person on this panel feels the same way as I do. So thank you, Mr. Abrams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and look forward to hearing more from you and Dr. Estrella at the appropriate time, and I'm sure all of your constituents do as well. With that as opening remarks, I would now like to move to acceptance of the minutes from our last meeting. Can someone please move that for discussion and vote?
So moved.
Thank you, Artie. Does anyone have any changes, revisions, amendments to the meeting as presented in our packet this evening?
I do if nobody else does. If any board members want to go first, I can follow up.
Tom, I believe the floor is yours.
Okay, bottom of page 3, it says police department had the largest request, not requestion. Top of page 4, last place, any changes could have been made in that second section. Middle of the page, most recent completed audit for Norwalk was 2024, not 2023. Middle of page 5, Mr. Abrams said it was heartening to know that they were already on an okay path, not a okay path. Towards the bottom, I talked about the city going out to the full amount for the market. And then Mr. Abrams, at the bottom of page 5, Mr. Abrams noted that the BET recommended, but is in line with what the Common Council ultimately recommended and approved. And that should do it. Cheryl, I think you're on the line. I will mark this up appropriately and send it along to you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate you catching all of those. With that, any other changes, amendments, revisions to the minutes that anyone would like to make? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented and amended by Tom, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are approved. Also, forgive me before I move to our next agenda item. Let the record show that Ms. Yang was able to join the meeting at roughly 6:31, 6:32 p.m. this evening. So thank you, Ann, for joining us this evening. All right. There are no special appropriations on our agenda for this evening. However, there are a number of transfers on the agenda. Can I get somebody to move the transfers for discussion,
it.
please? Thank you, Artie. The transfers begin on page 13 of our package. Tom, would you like to help lead walking through the various transfers, please?
Sorry, trying to quiet down the dog before I start speaking. Forgive me if he doesn't cooperate. We're gonna start out with the health department, non-fire or blight related this time, but we have Deanna on the line, and James, I believe she needs to be promoted to a panelist. So that she can address hers, a total of 6,400. These are within the health department, so no ask from contingency.
Good evening, Deanna.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the agenda today and for considering my request. So this is to transfer funding within our budget, within various accounts, in order to cover costs for vaccines for the month of June. We have a travel and adult immunization clinic at the health department, and we've actually seen an increase in patients over the past year. And so we've had demand for additional vaccines for this month, and we're able to find money within other accounts to cover this purchase, and we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for Deanna about this transfer? Okay, we will go ahead and we will approve all of the transfers as a batch as we have in other meetings. So we'll continue to go through them for questions or comments.
Ed, can I have a quick question for Deanna real quick?
Sure.
Just curious, are we having any issues with measles or anything? And I see that going across the country. How's Norwalk doing with that?
So thank you for the question. It's something that we're paying attention very closely to and preparing for, along with our other local health departments and state health departments across the country. We're staying up to date on what's going on in the country. If there are no cases as reported right now in Connecticut, but we're hopeful because we have such great vaccination coverage in our state. But we'll be ready to address anything that occurs if it does occur.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, I believe we have a whole bunch of interdepartmental transfers from the police department.
Yes, part of it is the ongoing efforts to clean up their balance sheet as we come into the fiscal year end. James, you will see on the attendee list, it's M. Dosimo. He can be promoted, please, to a panelist to address these.
Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry, it just took me a minute to connect there. Yeah, like Tom says, this is our ongoing reprioritization of funds. We like to end the year with no red on our balance sheet. And there are some places where maybe we couldn't spend the money and we're putting it into an account where it can be utilized for last minute priorities and in order to prepare for the fiscal year. And, once again, we budget so far ahead of time, it's sometimes hard to predict exactly what we're going to need a year or so after. This should balance us going forward into the new fiscal year. We will end up in the black as usual, and we look forward to ending the year on a positive note.
Okay. There are a number of different transfers in here. Mickey, I'm not going to ask you to speak on all of them, but does anybody from the board have any questions for Mickey about the wide variety of transfers that are listed here. Again, they are all interdepartmental. I see nothing asking for additional funding out of contingency.
I do have a question about the other expenses account that is being transferred to. There's a $11,000, 13, 14, almost 14, and then I think a total of about $30,000, I guess, for other expenses. Actually more than that. Do we know what other operating expenses means, or is that set forth somewhere in what was provided?
So what happens is when we have some unforeseen things, like, for example, in this case, we had some price increases in vehicle upfits. We have to put it into an account that we can take that out of. Cars and vans, as you know, is in capital, so it doesn't have fiscal borders. So we will pay an overage out of an operating other expense account.
Okay, so that's to cover a capital expense that
It's
is
actually vehicle related expenses, upfits, computers for the cars. So it's not really a capital expense. It's just that account for the purchase of the vehicles is always in the capital, and we pay odds and ends out of the operating.
okay. So that's sort of a standard operating practice over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way we do it every year.
Okay.
Any additional questions for Mickey? All right, seeing none, looking at the entire transfer agenda, all in favor of approving the transfers as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions. The transfers are approved. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you, Mickey. Really appreciate it from both of you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Abrams,
you.
and to the rest of the board. I appreciate it.
Next on our agenda is other business. Tonight, we start with the contingency tracker on page 23 of our agenda. Tom, do you want to walk us through that, please?
Yeah, sure. Just as a refresher, we started the year with about $2.5 million in contingency. Last month in May, we approved $46,000 for the health department between relocation and evictions. So that leaves us with a shade over 2 million, 2,040,000. At present, we've spent year to date 516,000, and no requests this month in June for that. And anticipating the upcoming question on contract negotiations. I can take that from a high level, but we'll offer it up to the mayor if he wishes to address it any more specifically than I may.
No, we had our contract negotiations with the police and fire. Those are the two contracts right now that have been ratified by the bargaining unit members and have been passed by the council. And I think that I think we put together a fair package, and I think that police and fire are pleased, and we're pleased as well.
Sorry, Jared, I didn't see you on there until just now. I apologize. I would have offered it up to either one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any, I know these are negotiations, so it's hard to put a sense of timeline on them, but do we have any sense of timeline by which we hope to get all of this resolved? It's a recurring question every single month when we review contingency, and it would be nice to have an understanding of any projected timeline.
I think we are getting rather close. I believe we have three others. We have NASA and NMEA and 2405. So I think we're getting very close on all of them. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
And then we'll be administratively, we'll be meeting tomorrow. I'm meeting with HR director and Chitsame and Liliana from HR, and we're going to go through, because there's, after the approval process, there's going to be a period of time where we have to do the calculations. We have to time it up right with when the pay cycles happen. And so tomorrow we're meeting to lay out that schedule. And so, I'm hopeful hopeful that we can get the retro payments out by the end of this year, by the end of the fiscal year. But we'll see about that. We also, the other contracts, NMEA and NASA, were adopted by the Common Council, were approved by the Common Council during the last meeting. So we're there may be some there may be a couple of minor changes, some tweaks that need to take place before everything is at a point where we can make those calculations. So that's kind of what we're waiting on now. But like I said, I think after tomorrow we'll have a good sense of the timing of when payments will go out.
So Jared, is Troy? So where's the ball? Which court is it in? Do you guys made an offer to the union, the two major unions, and they're reviewing it for the last 6 months, or is it back and forth? Where just give me an idea of what the action is going on between us and the two unions, and is this typical? The timeline.
I don't know if there's not really a typical. I would say it's going to depend. And we had all the contracts landing at once, which was one of the things that we fixed in this go around, so that next time around they're going to be on 4 and 5 year cycles. So 2 of them will be on 4-year cycles and 2 will be on 5-year. And so that way we don't have everything hitting at once. So that was one thing that definitely played a role. There was a lot of back and forth. We had some requested changes in the pension plan from the police and fire that we took care of. But there were a lot of different options that we ran to try to create a plan changes that were going to have the least impact on taxpayers, yet fix some issues that more morale issues that we're seeing in police and fire. And so there was definitely some back and forth on that.
Are the negotiations between each of the major unions done privately, independently, or does everyone know what you're offering for the other unions? Just curious about that.
No, we have to keep it private. There's a non-disclosure, and we have ground rules that we set before we start negotiations, so that everybody knows they're not to discuss. Because we want to make sure that we put forward a fair package, but also we don't want a Me Too situation. But I can tell you that the contract negotiations were cordial and not contentious. We've structured this process differently than it used to be conducted. We use our HR person here, along with our CEO, Chief of Financial Officer, so that it makes things go more smoothly when we use in-house people.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding contingency? All right. Thank you. Tom, where are we headed next on our agenda? I believe the school information is for our reference. No discussion on that this month, but I'm not sure where we head next.
Correct. Next is our Oak Hills and tax collector. Lisa is off this month because she was on last month, and we have Alan Dutton here for the first time in a few months to give us an update on Oak Hills and take any questions. James, if you could promote, you already beat me to it. Thank you.
Yep. So hopefully you can see me now.
We got you, Alan.
Okay, yeah, I had issues getting in initially. So anyway, let me just get my screen here. So, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here, especially every 3 months. Thank you for that. Oak Hills Park now enters its 10th month of operating in our fiscal budget this year. So I'll go over the financials, then I've got a couple of other things to talk about as well. So from a financial point of view, with 10 months in the bank, looking at revenue, looking at expenses, and looking at net income. On the revenue side, after 10 months, our budget was to make on the revenue side $1,746,000. We're actually at $1,921,000. So on the revenue side, we're $175,000 ahead of budget after 10 months. On the expense side, the expenses budget is $1,592,000. The actual is $1,595,000. So only $3,000 over in the expenses compared to $175,000 increase in revenue. So that gives us a pretty healthy net income, prior to any debt service and capital leases and capital budgets. A net income of budget of $153,000 with an actual of $325,000. So we're actually $172,000 ahead on the bottom line after 10 months. So the story does continue to do quite well. We did experience a very good month of April. We did not do well in January, February, and March. We normally would do a little bit of revenue, but it was pretty miserable weather, if you remember. But however, that being said, we do continue to find ourselves in a pretty favorable situation after 10 months operating. Are there any questions on the financial aspect of the Oak Hills after the first 10 months? Okay, thank you. Just a quick update on the restaurant. The restaurant got through the winter. It was open. I think it was open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They relied a lot on having entertainment. They had bands, and so their weekend Saturday, Sunday brunches was not too bad for the first time, and they were open, which they did decide to do that. And that did build up a pretty good head of steam. And now we get into the summer, and they're going to continue doing Saturday night bands, which was popular a couple of years ago, and they continue to do that. And I think it's on a bit of an upswing. It's the second year, a couple of teething issues with staffing wise, but now and they're doing well in the private parties. So the challenge now, we have to balance the private parties with the regular golfers. And it's really important to us that our golfers are able to, if there's a private party going on inside, they can go on the terrace and have drinks and food there. So one thing we're keeping an eye on the restaurant. Secondly, we have completed our budget for the next fiscal year, and we'll be taking a final vote on that in our next meeting. Just a kind of a heads up on that. We're forecasting to make about $546,000 this year, 2024-25, and our budget next year is to make $436,000. So we're budgeting about $110,000 less next year because we've had 2 very good years in a row, and a lot of it's weather related. On the capital side, in our next fiscal year, we will be completing phase 2 of our bunker project. The traps, which will be $180,000 in the capital budget to do that. And on the capital side, we're going to have to replace our golf carts. They'll be 5 years now, believe it or not. And we're hopeful that we're able to do that and have it not cost us a tremendous amount of money. I think a lot depends on where we can get them from. We are experiencing some pricing costs, but if we can get them in the US, that would be good. So just working on that. So that's a quick update on Oak Hills. If any committee member has any questions, I'd be happy to take some questions.
Questions for Alan from the board?
No, just Troy Allen, you're doing a great job. Just, you mentioned it, just keep an eye on the private events versus the golfers and try not to let, I know it's a hard to serve two masters there, but just be careful about too many private events that might
Yeah, no,
impinge on the golf. That's
I'm
all.
very aware. I'm very aware of it. I was involved in it when I was actually a club manager myself. You know, the private events, they make money on that. It's fixed cost
Yeah.
of food, beverage. They do well, but if you just have private events and every Saturday, you know, and then and golfers can't come, then it's an issue. So it's a balancing act, but we're definitely on it, Troy. Thank you.
Thanks. The course is great, by the way.
It is. It is. I must admit, it's in pretty good shape. Thank you.
Any other questions for Alan? Seeing none, thank you, Alan, for the update. We'll see you next quarter.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right, Tom, what is next on our agenda?
I think that's it, other than the informational reports. Yeah, you've got the narrative from Lisa and her tax collecting reports, and then all of the financials all the way down the line. I would say that it's a little bit early in the game right now to make an assessment, but I would categorize that we are in good shape on expenses so far. Quite a bit of savings on staffing. So yeah, I was talking to Mickey earlier today, and they're pretty confident they'll come in several, well, close to $500,000 under. Fire department is under their roster is not full, although they did just get some folks into the academy, so there'll be some decent savings on their salaries as well. Although careful not to leap to conclusions, because there are no raises in all the actuals right now. So now that we are at or near finalizing the contracts, I want us to true up everything on the salary side, and then see where we are. But I'm fairly confident that we will still be in good shape.
Great, thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, any closing remarks before we move to adjourn?
No, I think only the fact that the city's in good shape fiscally. Very proud of the department heads who have been very frugal and very responsible in their budgets. And just to answer the questions, I think contract negotiations, we put together a fair and equitable process, and something that city can be happy with, and the bargaining unit can be happy with.
Right, and I will echo again your comments from the beginning of the meeting. I appreciate the commitment you and Jared and Tom have with Dr. Estrella and her team to find an equitable solution to the situation going on with the schools, and look forward to hearing at the appropriate time what that solution is. With that, may I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Artie. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks. Have a good night.
That was the quickest